I'm gonna sleep so good when he actually croaks.
They're literally murdering people on the street and nobody's doing anything about it!
So, if this doesn't get you guys mad,
then you're not a freedom fighter! You're a Nazi!
Can you see the swastika now?
Hello, my friends. Welcome to the show. It is going to be kind of a spicy show. It's probably going to be long, so I hope you're up for the ride today. We're talking about pretty much all Minnesota and the madness that is going on there. The people are losing their minds over the shooting of that young lady that was, basically trying to kill an ICE agent with her car. But of course, the left doesn't see it that way. Yet they celebrate the open assassination of Charlie Kirk. I'm telling you, we're living in the upside down. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy. We've got a lot of liberal madness to get to, and I think some good counterpoints from those on the sane side of reality. So, my friends, let's jump right into it. Let's jump into that liberal pool of madness. Today, it's deep, and the waters are choppy. So let's sit back, relax, and buckle up. We're about to enter the Lib Zone.
So it's incredible how the Dollar Tree dictator is actually still alive because he does not exercise. He eats Diet Coke.
He eats Diet Coke? I don't think so.
Fast food. Yeah. He takes aspirin every day.
Oh. I take aspirin every day. Does that mean I'm about to die? Okay.
He has dementia.
Oh, right.
He is out of breath.
He's out of breath. Yeah, come on, lady. Look in the mirror.
Yes, panic.
You had to throw that in.
Like the number of health problems rise and rise and rise. So maybe this is why he's doing so many things so fast, because he knows he's going to die soon. So he's just trying to go out with a bang and make us all suffer. So when that orange piece of shit actually finally does die, let's not mourn him at all. Let's have a party and then saying you like, oh, I'm going to sleep so good when he actually croaks. Because there are people who have left this world who we would have preferred to have stayed. And yet that orange tangerine is still here. Oh, not much longer. Come on, Karma.
Speaking from somebody who went to the No Kings protest herself,
shocking.
I want to make it very clear. I do not think that walking around on the street with a poster board, playing Fleetwood Mac, and waving and getting honks from everybody, I don't think that's gonna do anything. Do you see what's happening outside, you dumb bitches? They're killing people! They're literally murdering people on the street and nobody's doing anything about it! There's a 37-year-old woman today witnessing an ICE arrest, an American citizen.
Witnessing,
okay. No threat! Even if she wasn't an American citizen, by the way, she was leaving the scene in her car, not towards the officers, away! She wasn't even the one that was being interrogated.
Okay, that is totally wrong. I mean, she wasn't being interrogated. She wasn't the person the ICE was going after, but she was hindering the process of the ICE agents to do their job. And she wasn't just innocently trying to leave the scene. We'll see what actually happened a little bit later.
They shot her 3 times.
No, not 3 times. I believe 3 shots were had, but I believe only one of them hit her, which was, of course, the one that did the job. But anyways, gaslighting.
Not only that, they didn't let any of the witnesses provide any medical assistance to her, so she died on the scene.
I'm pretty sure the bullet did the damage, not anybody trying to help her. I think she was probably already gone before her car smashed into another car.
Could be any of us. That could be me. Are you gonna wait to do something about it until it's someone that you love?
well, nobody that I love is going to be wasting their time at any of these protests because A, they support ICE, and B, they have a job.
Man, like, what are we doing?
When are we going to start rioting? Because
that's the question, because all these people on the left are just waiting for a moment to get their riot on.
a woman in Minneapolis was just shot in the face
Right.
by ICE, and she died.
Yes.
And this was not a person of color or an illegal immigrant. This was a U.S. citizen, and she was a white woman. So if this doesn't get you guys mad, I genuinely don't know what the is at this point.
Watch the video, y'all. I watched the video.
Okay.
The news is gonna say she tried to ram them. She most certainly did not. They ran in her car, holding on to their guns, and then they shot her when she tried to drive away.
False.
She wasn't trying to ram anyone. She was trying to get away from a dangerous situation, and now she's dead.
Calm down, sir. Just calm down. It'll be okay. You're not telling the truth, but go on.
If you are okay with the fact that they're gunning people down in the streets, in the suburbs of Minneapolis,
Yeah, I'm good.
then you're not a freedom fighter. You're a Nazi.
Oh, right.
Leave my country. Leave my state.
Laugh my ass off. The left is retarded. Yes, they are.
Just a quick public service announcement, because
Okay,
ICE murdered
yeah.
a woman in Minneapolis
Oh,
today.
no,
She
they
had
didn't,
committed
no.
no crime, and she was shot in the head as she attempted to drive away. If you are somebody who believes that these people are deserving of respect, then you don't deserve it either.
Okay, Republicans, they're shooting white women in the face now.
Oh, yeah, because that's what we
now, do you
do.
care?
No,
Can you see the swastika now?
no.
You know what? I don't care if you see it. As far as I'm concerned, you're all forfeit.
Oh,
Thank you.
jeez.
Horrifying but fully expected news out of Minnesota today.
Yeah.
ICE agents in Minneapolis
Right.
shot and killed an unarmed female American citizen.
Yeah.
Shot her in the face and killed her.
For no reason. No reason at all. She was just there parking her car in the street, and they just came up and shot her in the face.
ICE
people.
were raiding some neighborhood, and a woman was in her car, and they told her to leave.
Yes.
And she was complying with them and driving away, and an ICE agent pulled the trigger and shot her in the face, point blank range.
Now, I understand that the officer that did the shooting that was in front of her vehicle, at some point previously, he was actually dragged by a vehicle. So, yeah, I can understand why he was a little, maybe a little jumpy at the situation with another car heading towards him. But I totally support the actions, the split-second action that officer had to do. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with what he did. So
Trump and Kristi Noem and
Kristi Noem? Who's Kristi Noem? I think you're talking about Kristi Noem.
Tom Homan are waging war on American citizens the same way they're waging war on the rest of the world. And this administration is fucking insane. In the words of the Minneapolis mayor just now,
Which is horrible. We'll get to that later. What a piece of crap.
ICE needs to get the out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
In my words right now, Trump needs to get the out of D.C. This whole administration is batshit crazy, and
And you're
need to be
not?
over with.
Hey, real quick, I just want to let everybody know there's a new option to support the channel. If you find any kind of value or entertainment, if you laugh, if you enjoy the Dave Show, if you just think I'm adorable, hey, listen, you can now go buy me a hot chocolate. I don't drink coffee, so I went the hot chocolate route. I think it's actually much more delicious. Now, listen, there's no obligation, but it's much appreciated, and it helps me keep going and keep making the Dave Show on a weekly basis. All right, let's get on with the rest of the show.
So I just got off a long shift, and I saw that video of that woman
An innocent woman.
getting murdered by an ICE agent
Straight
for
up.
reckless driving.
Yeah, when you use your vehicle as a weapon, that is against the law.
What more can we say as the American people to get these they're not going to. They're not going to listen. They're never going to listen. They will never hear our words, ever!
Jeez, lady, calm down, man. Gonna have a stroke.
They're not people.
Yeah, there it is.
Anyone who has joined ICE, anyone in the government that is supporting this, they are not people.
And that is the rationale that is absolutely horrifying, because some of these low IQ liberal women, liberal men that are attached to that hive mind, they're going to start looking at those that support Trump, that are conservative. If you want to call them MAGA, it doesn't matter. But they're going to start looking at these people as less than human. And guess who also looked at Jews that were less than human? I think that was Hitler, and I'm pretty sure he was an actual Nazi. So, yeah, this is probably going to get kind of scary if this escalates, and I fear that it's going to. I don't know. These people are seriously mentally ill.
They're not humans!
There you go. Then we can they're expendable. Just like
they are not human.
Just like killing an animal.
They will not understand any words. There is no amount of speaking. There is no amount of protesting. There is no amount of trying to appeal to their humanity, because they have none! The only way this is gonna end is if we somehow find a way to fight back. Because the only language they understand is the language of blood!
Wow. Kind of went there, didn't you? Okay.
How did it get this far?
Because you're crazy.
What happened to never again? What happened to that?
Never again? What, are you talking about 9/11? Are you comparing this shooting to 9/11? Okay.
There's nothing more that I can really say. There's
Good.
nothing more any of us can say.
Then shut up.
The only language they understand is blood.
All right, here is the clip of the incident that happened in Minnesota. This isn't the best angle. I'm sure we'll probably see a better angle throughout the show, but this is it. This is what happened. This lady was hindering the ICE agents in their ability to do their job. She was blocking them from leaving. I don't know. I didn't see what led up to this point. I don't think that footage is available, but it's clear that the ICE agent that approached the car and had his hand on the car told her to basically get out of the vehicle. She chose to not obey that order, which at that point, technically, she has now broken the law. And then with another ICE officer in front of her vehicle, she backed up and started to head right for that ICE agent. And that is the guy that he didn't have his hand on his gun beforehand, but he certainly pulled it out in response to the threat. Because that lady chose, instead of staying home and taking care of her kids, to go out and antagonize ICE agents, because she's been groomed by the media, groomed by the politicians to say, hey, that's okay. That's okay to go against ICE, to break law and do pretty much anything you want to these federal agents, because they're non-human, right? They're Nazis. They're the Gestapo. They're picking up people and taking them to torture dungeons, as we're going to hear from Tim Walz a little bit later. So anyways, we're going to hear a lot more spin from the left on this, but then we're going to have a nice counterbalance of sanity. So let's take, I'm going to shut up and we're just going to get on with it. Okay.
Get the out of our neighborhood.
This doesn't really show anything, but here's a headline that talks about the shooting. ICE agent shoots and kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Oh, that sounds horrible. I think maybe a better headline, more accurate, would be hero ICE agent saves numerous lives as crazed liberal cult member attempts to murder officers with vehicle. And here is that worthless, dangerous piece of crap mayor, Jacob Fry. This is where he tells ICE to get out of the state. He doesn't want anything to do with them. It is a dangerous precedent that this guy is making. I don't know. I would be embarrassed if this was my mayor. Check it out.
What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets. And in this case, quite literally killing people. So they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here.
And here's Christy Noem. She is responding to a question about the shooting. This is obviously way early after the incident, and I don't think she quite has her facts right, because what she describes doesn't really match with what we see in the video. So I don't know. You judge. Take a look.
You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him.
We're going to hear some words from Tim Walz as he condemns the ICE agents and the federal help that Minnesota has been getting to round up murderers and criminals and rapists and pedophiles and all that bad stuff. But no, Tim Walz wants that in his state. And then we're going to hear some responses from the five, and I think they're very insightful and right on point. So take a look.
We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight. We will not take the bait. We have been warning for weeks that the Trump administration's dangerous, sensationalized operations are a threat to our public safety, that someone was going to get hurt. Just yesterday, I said exactly that. What we're seeing is the consequences of governance designed to generate fear, headlines, and conflict. It's governing by reality TV. And today that recklessness cost someone their life.
Right. Well, first of all, him mentioning reality TV and recklessness, those are his comments. And he's the one that is theatrical and dynamic on stages, calling President Trump ICE agents, Gestapo, and Nazis. So we can get to that a little bit later as well, because I do want to focus on the legalities for a second. So for those that on the left that have been jumping to conclusions that this is murder and it wasn't self-defense, including the mayor, which is so, speaking of reckless, absolutely worthless, and such a rotten form of leadership to come out of the gate and say it was not self-defense. But here's the standard that officers abide by. First of all, if the officer reasonably believes that the suspect poses an imminent threat, not just of actual deadly injury, but of serious imminent injury, then that can be justified in shooting. And the factors, including just last year by the Supreme Court, involve the totality of circumstances. So let's look at the totality of circumstances here. First of all, they clearly said on multiple angles of those video, you can hear them saying, get out of the car. When a suspect is requested to get out of the car, that means that it is a temporary investigative detention. That is a Fourth Amendment seizure. That subject was not allowed to leave, not free to leave. And yet we saw that individual behind the wheel of the car use a motor vehicle to ram out of the way, to surge and gas out of the way. Well, you talked about it being used as a weapon. Motor vehicles accounted for a third of officer deaths in the last decade. Wow. And it spiked even more than that in the last year. So absolutely right that it poses an extreme risk to their safety. And when we talk about the rhetoric, as the no self-defense and the ICE agents are Gestapo and the like, that too feeds into the totality of the circumstances. When this officer reasonably believes that they are in fear of imminent injury, serious injury or death. And furthermore, that standard also accounts for potential injury or of risk of injury to bystanders. So while fleeing isn't enough, fleeing in a deadly weapon with bystanders and other officers everywhere, including that one that I saw on the thing sort of limping, because I think that did pull the trigger, that clearly made contact with that vehicle, well, then that shows you all you need to know. And final quick point on the legality. The statement released by ICE earlier talked about that it was training by the officer, that he utilized his training to discharge his weapon and eliminate the threat that was justified and all of these things from what we know thus far. And the point is that these officers train and exercise this judgment in a split second.
Right.
And the Supreme Court has held and affirmed that what matters is a reasonable officer standard in that moment, split second, was it justified? And that is why they train. And the fact that ICE officer agents have to train for assault on a sustained daily basis also shows what a toxic atmosphere they're operating in thanks to those feckless leaders.
The woman killed in an encounter with ICE agents is dead because liberals gaslit her into thinking she could do whatever she wanted and call it social justice. And that's what I'm talking about. This gets into the whole stochastic terrorism. I've talked about it on the show before. It's where you basically want a certain outcome, but you never actually say the words of that outcome. Greg Gutfeld gets into it a lot better. He's talking about stochastic terrorism, although doesn't mention it by that phrase. But yeah, totally. We're being gaslit, my friends. You're supposed to let us run you over. No, that's not happening. And here are some of the politicians participating in that stochastic terrorism that I'm talking about. They, I think, are actually happy that this incident occurred because they can further scare the American people, the people that will listen to them, people on the left, people of the hive mind. But anyways, this is AOC, and then I think Chuck Schumer is going to be talking, and then somebody, I have no idea who he is, but he is an idiot. Take a look.
What we saw today was a criminal.
Yeah, a criminal. A federal ICE agent doing his duty, making a split-second decision, which they have been trained to do, but he's the criminal, and the woman trying to run over an ICE agent, she's just innocent. She's just a Minnesota mom.
A criminal murdered a woman and shot her in the head while she was trying to escape and flee for her life. And
escape with her life. Why was she even putting herself in that situation in the first place, AOC, you big doof?
I think what we saw today was a manifestation of every American's worst nightmare, which is their government turning into a tyranny.
Do you believe he should be arrested, the officer involved?
I think what we saw was a murder today, and I think that we need, of course.
Yeah, of course. I totally think that he should be arrested, even though he's protected by the Constitution and the things that he's done.
You said that she was fleeing for her life. Do you know that she was fleeing?
No.
I think we saw this vehicle, and listen.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. So now she's backpedaling.
Part of a due process is to allow an investigation of what transpired and what occurred. I think what we saw was a woman trying to reverse her vehicle and leave a scene.
When you have these ICE agents all over the streets of our cities without any cooperation with local law enforcement, local communities, tragedies, horrible tragedies, killings occur.
I'm very worried about what comes next, especially as this White House with Stephen Miller now calling this domestic terrorism, intentionally trying to inflame this situation and make things even worse. You know, that's the kind of action that you see of a reckless White House.
No kings but Maduro. Maduro's arrest is illegal. Don't bomb narco-terrorists. Stop deporting criminals. No ICE. No ballroom. Well, you think after a while, maybe some common sense might creep in. Sometimes I think opposing Trump on every issue is making us look bad. You think? And here's Greg Gutfeld talking about the situation in Minnesota, and he's essentially talking about stochastic terrorism, although he does not label it that way. it is very interesting and kind of profound with what he's about to say, and I think he's totally accurate.
I'm not interested in the moment that everybody is focusing on. I think that is the mistake that we always make, is that we come upon something and we focus on the moment. But we don't ask, how did we get George Floyd? How did we get Butler, Pennsylvania? How did we get Charlie Kirk? There's a whole series of events that get you here. The deliberate mistake the media makes is they ignore what leads to the moment so they can seize the moment to create a narrative. You have a city on edge because that is the desired effect. The key word here, and it always is chaos, because chaos is what is desired. Okay, you want to see how we got here? Most of us know how we got here. There was a migrant crisis that was deliberately encouraged by our politicians for reasons that were financial and political. Went crazy. Trump wins. We bring in ICE agents to fix this problem. They are villainized because they are fixing the problem. We have politicians and activists demonizing people trying to do their jobs, with protesters and rioters around to sow chaos. And they are organized and they are sponsored and paid for. The desired effect is this. They want this. This is a success. Do not be fooled by their emotion. This is how they do it. What do you expect? You amplify a directive that is designed to do one thing, which then becomes the rallying cry for more chaos. You get the new Michael Brown, the new George Floyd, the new Kent State. And this will be felt in cities wherever there is a progressive mayor. Getting Mamdani in, or whatever progressive mayor you got, it's not about the policies that I'm worried about. It's about the side they take when the rubber hits the road. What side do they take when people start looting? We knew what happened in New York with, what's his face? I can't even remember his name. Frankenstein, yeah. So the downside of progressive mayors, besides their complete ineptitude, is that they will always fan the flames of chaos because that's the side that they choose. But on the good side is, I think we're a different country than we were in 2020. We know how narratives work and why. We aren't going to let it happen again. Before, you had a silent majority sitting by while cities burned in the name of oppression because identity politics paralyzed us. Ain't happening anymore. Thanks to Elon Musk and X, we're now seeing things as they happen. We know how the chaos unfolds. We know who's behind it. This is different. And before Twitter, before Musk bought Twitter, this would be a different story. It would be another incendiary event, and it might still be in some cities, but I don't think it's going to be the case here. So if you want to debate whether the shooting was justified or not, you can do that. But I don't think that's the story here, because that's for the courts to decide. That's for the departments to decide, and whether the police officer made the right decision. I can't. I'm just a talking head, but I can tell you about the context. I can tell you that we warned you about this.
And of course, Mamdani has to, poke his head and be relevant to the news cycle. This is what he has to say about the incident in Minnesota. This morning, an ICE agent murdered a woman in Minneapolis. Only the latest horror in a year full of cruelty. What a joke. As ICE attacks our neighborhoods across America, it is an attack on us all. New York stands with immigrants today and every day that follows. Well, I don't know what Mamdani's talking about, because that lady was white. She was a white U.S. citizen, as they keep on saying. I guess they want to make that point. So yeah, Minnesota mom, right? Delaware dad, Minnesota mom. And here's Greg reacting to how socialist mayors react to situations, and they're always on the wrong side.
You know what a socialist is going to do with economic policy. You know they suck on crime. But this is the scary part. This is why, they looted my neighborhood after an event that occurred 1,000 miles away. Why did that cause the rioting in New York? Jacob Fry must own stock in the plywood business, because he is going to have another riot on his hands. And you know what? Left-wing mayors, they're harder to get rid of than dictators in South America. And if they get rid of him, they just replace him with somebody worse.
And here is Tim Walz stoking the flames of hatred and violence, poking the paranoia of the left. And he has no problems when he does it. Take a look.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons.
And yet he said today that this is the consequences of governance designed to generate fear, headlines, and conflict. What do you call that? He says governing by reality TV. What do you call that? He says, please protest peacefully as you always do. What about Minneapolis accounting for $350 million worth of damages of $500 million total after they burned it to the ground because people like the mayor said, well, brick and mortar is not as important as lives, as he ordered police to abandon the precinct. They are worthless at crisis management and they are utter failures at leadership, let alone governance. And to my point earlier about the totality of the circumstances, yes, their rhetoric will feed into why these ICE officers fear for their imminent safety at all times and risk their lives for others. I wanted to make a quick point about what you mentioned. We said they're going to see them, how they pick sides. Did you hear the press in the presser at 1? They asked one of the first questions. They asked what the name of the ICE agent was.
Right.
They didn't ask the name of the woman who got shot. So that shows you all you need to know. They don't actually care about the loss of life of a victim. What they care about is their herd mentality, the mob mentality about vilifying law enforcement and federal officers above and beyond. What was her name? What was her age? Does she have kids? They don't actually care. They only, to your point, were applauding that finally someone was injured because, as Jacob Fry said, we've been waiting for this moment since the minute one that you entered the city. Yes, because you wanted this.
This next clip clearly shows people throwing snowballs at ICE agents and other officers. I think anybody that throws a snowball, even though it's innocent, it's still assault with, you could classify it as a weapon. You don't know what's in that snowball. It could be a rock. It could be actual ice. It could do damage. So yeah, these people all need to be arrested. I don't know why they're not. Let's check it out. So now we're going to see the result of the mayor and Tampon Tim stoking the embers, stoking the fire to tell basically the citizens of Minnesota that they need to rebel against ICE. And it looks like, at least for one night, they came out in full force. Check it out.
Silent. This is the time to rise up and continue to fight for the people. Rest in peace.
So now we're at the next day after the shooting incident, and people are really starting to become a little bit more aggressive towards the ICE agents, actually surrounding them and making threatening postures, if you ask me. Again, I don't know why these people aren't all arrested immediately. If you put your hands on an ICE agent, you're done.
Hey! What the fuck? What is going on? The guy not wearing pants is crazy.
None of us are armed. What just happened? All of them are. They had 8 fucking people on a person. Right there. Right there. Right there. Won't show their faces though. Won't show their faces though. Yeah, unclip your guys' shit so quick. You're so scared. What the are we gonna do? What the are we gonna do?
Don't touch you all. I didn't touch you. You're evil. Evil. Where's the humanity? Where's the humanity? Where's your humanity? Won't you back the fuck up? Back the fuck up our people. Stop killing us.
course, a protest would not be a good one unless you had a bunch of awfuls. Check it out. Violence inflamed by the mayor and governor. What an embarrassment. A dangerous one. Yeah, totally agree. They need to get a handle on this or it will spiral.
All right, let me ask you this question real freaking slow since consistency seems to be hard for y'all. Why are we not doing mass arrests on these ICE protesters the same way they did to the people on January 6th?
Yes.
Because back in 2021, y'all didn't stutter. You screamed it from every rooftop, every news floor.
And every single day for the last few years, my gosh, just give it up.
In every social media feed. They were obstructing law enforcement. That was y'all's justification.
Yeah.
That's what y'all charged them with. That was y'all excuses for mass arrests, year-long prosecutions, pre-child detention, ruined lives. You said obstruction alone was enough. Cool. So let's apply your standard. What do you think your people are doing up in Minnesota? What do you think your people are doing out in LA and all across the country? Blocking ICE vehicles, surrounding agents, interfering with arrests, preventing law enforcement from doing their jobs. That is obstruction by your own definition. ICE agents are federal law enforcement.
Yes.
They don't magically lose that status because you don't like immigration law. Where are the mass arrests? Where are the dawn raids? Oh, right. Different politics, different rules. You threw the book at one group to make an example, and now you're shielding another group because they vote your way? That's not justice, and that's not law and order. That's selective enforcement. You don't get to scream obstructing law enforcement back in 2021 and call it peaceful protesting when it's your side that's obstructing.
Mayor Frey telling ICE to get the f out? That's weird. That's how so many of us in this country feel about illegal aliens in your state and all the other states. Get the f out.
Yeah.
We saw how you reacted when Charlie Kirk died.
Yes, we did.
And Charlie was better than she ever was.
Totally
so if you
agree.
think you're going to get sympathy from MAGA now, you've totally underestimated us.
Nope.
She deserved what she got. And I'm just pointing out the obvious.
Mayor Fry did absolutely nothing to help the chaos up there in Minneapolis. What is wrong with people? He incited more chaos and riots, in my opinion. He didn't do anything to calm the situation.
Nope.
Or to let people think, you know, it might be a bad idea to go out there and mess with them ICE agents.
What?
Let them do their job.
Yes.
Let them do their jobs. My goodness. What is wrong with people?
It's pretty easy. And here's Tim Walz again, actually saying it's the patriotic duty of the citizens of Minnesota to get out there and get in the face and obstruct ICE. This guy is mentally ill. And he's retarded. Check it out.
Minnesotans to hear this from me. The desire to get out and protest and to speak up to this administration of how wrong this is, that is a patriotic duty.
I mean, what is it, like this guy? I know he's stupid, but like that, people are going to go out there, and what do you think is going to happen when you get 3, 4, 5,000 people, some of which are paid agitators, thinking it's their patriotic duty to oppose ICE?
Well, first of all, this guy's a beta, and he has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. This is one of the largest fall from grace that we've seen in politics. Could you imagine this man being our vice president? And so if he gives me an order, I would actually urge people to ignore it because he has no idea what he's doing. His political career is actually over. Actually, the right thing to do is to abide by the laws of this land.
Tim Walz is being referred to the DOJ for criminal charges. I wonder what his reaction is going to be to that. Released Antifa, burned down Minneapolis again. Okay, that was a bad impression. You get my point, though. And here's yet another Minneapolis politician. She's apparently running for Senate, and she is telling everybody, hey, go out there and get nasty.
is Minnesota's leading Democrat candidate for U.S. Senate, Peggy Flanagan. She once urged activists to do this. Roll it.
Are being disappeared. P.S. Without due process, it is just called kidnapping. Then show up and use your voice. Put your body on the line.
I got 30 seconds, sir. Put your body on the... Okay, what do you think people are going to do?
They're going to listen to that, and they're going to put their bodies on the line. And this is why we need good, strong leaders that understand the rule of law, that respect this country, that respect law enforcement. And most importantly, these ICE agents are putting their lives on the line to protect their fellow Americans. Brother, you and I both served. I understand what it means to be that person. Look, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's listen to law enforcement agents, and let's understand that they are simply enforcing the laws on the books. We owe that to them. Don't put your life on the line. Don't put their life in danger. Let's just follow the law.
You know, I didn't really want to bring this up, but I'm better than you. Democrats. I am better than you. You guys had a whole administration and put that administration on a pedestal. And they couldn't even leave a mission site without getting over a dozen of our service members killed.
I don't know why whenever something happens that's on video, the left acts like the rest of us just don't have access to the internet and can't just watch what happened with our very own eyes and just sit there trying to gaslight us into believing a completely different series of events. Roll the clip.
Okay, this is a slightly different view.
So you watched a few things transpire in that. On one hand, you watched two different ICE agents sit there very clearly trying to tell this woman to stop driving, and yet she is not doing that. In fact, she does the opposite. She tries to floor it forward where she almost hits an ICE agent despite being told multiple times to stop driving.
Actually, she didn't almost hit that guy, that ICE agent. He went to the hospital, and I believe he's spending the night. I think he's going to be out today. I mean, nothing super serious, but yeah, he did get tagged by that car. So take that for what you want.
At that point in time, that is when the ICE agents open fire, which they have every single right to do in that situation. This is a woman who is disobeying lawful orders and turning her vehicle into what could potentially be a deadly weapon. At that point, it's on her. I don't know what to tell you. Is it a tragedy that somebody lost their life? Yes. But what the real tragedy is the fact that the left has been able to indoctrinate everyday average American citizens into becoming such heinous individuals to where they are going around trying to take lives because they're angry that our laws are actually finally being enforced. It's absolutely disgusting. And now the left is already going around trying to say that there's going to be another series of BLM-esque riots in which they burn down cities, go after other innocent people's lives, and destroy businesses just on the basis of they feel like it. We didn't get our way, so now we get to destroy everything. It's absolutely ridiculous, but something tells me with Trump in office, it's not going to go the way it did for them last time.
You know what? I guess I will be that asshole.
Okay.
Y'all can go ahead and unclutch those pearls because you are not the victims and you are definitely not innocent in this. For months, y'all have been out here objectifying, brutalizing, and degrading these ICE agents.
True.
You've been calling them Nazis. You've been calling them animals. You've been calling them murderers. Y'all are the ones that have been out here saying that these people need to lose their lives, that violence against them is justified. You didn't discourage it. You didn't try to walk it back. You amplified it.
And that is the stochastic terrorism I've been talking about
Y'all have been the ones out here indoctrinating all these people, telling them that these men don't deserve to breathe. So y'all don't get to sit there and act surprised when chaos actually shows up. When a woman uses her vehicle as a weapon, and then a man reacts out of fear that you created, because for months, all he's heard is people like him should be hunted down and killed. Now all of y'all are out here acting like, oh my God, how could have this happened? Hear me clearly when I say this. You! This just didn't fall out of the sky. This just didn't come out of nowhere. This is what cause and effect looks like.
stochastic terrorism.
You don't get to sit out here and scream death to them for months, then cry victim when somebody believes you. You don't get to sit here and weaponize mobs, excuse violence, and reward extremists.
It is by design, my friends. Don't be fooled.
And wash your hands when reality punches back. Y'all have been the ones out here teaching these people that violence is acceptable. You've been the ones that normalize it.
Yep.
You've been the ones that have been cheering it on. And now that it's ugly, now that it's undeniable, you want sympathy? Hell no. You don't get to light the match and pour the gasoline and dance around the fire and then cry when the flames spread. This is
That is a great analogy.
your rhetoric, and this is your responsibility. And that woman's blood is on y'all's hands.
Yep.
When you put armed officers in a situation where they start fearing for their lives, you might get shot. That's one of the most basic realities to understand. It may hurt your feelings, but this is just the truth. Now, let me be clear. I don't celebrate situations like this.
No. And nobody on the right is celebrating the death of that lady. So just to be clear, I don't. I mean, it's a tragedy she's gone. But I'm pretty sure she's in heaven right now going, wow, I was kind of an idiot.
Woman lost her life, and yes, that's tragic. But we still need to talk about choices. For those of you who are saying, oh, she didn't have a choice. She was just shot in broad daylight, couldn't do anything. She was a victim. She wasn't doing anything wrong. Well, she did have choices. Yeah. She didn't have to be there. She didn't have to stop ICE agents from doing their jobs. She didn't have to block ICE vehicles, and she certainly didn't have to use her car as a weapon and drive toward an officer. Multiple people have said that she was leading those protests. She was actively blocking ICE vehicles, not just at that moment, but on multiple occasions. At some point, it becomes fuck around and find out. I knew something like this would happen sooner or later, because some way, somehow, some people think that they can physically stop ICE agents from doing their jobs, from enforcing U.S. laws, and nothing's gonna happen. Well, ICE had every legal right to be there. Yeah. And the mayor of Minneapolis is gonna try and tell ICE to get the out of there. They're not welcome. But what about the illegal immigrants who are there that do not have the right to be there and still are being protected by people like the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey? You don't get to ignore the law when it doesn't fit your narrative, provoke armed officers, and then act shocked when things turn deadly. It doesn't work that way. This is my take on what happened today.
Hey, do you know why I wasn't shot today?
Why?
It's because instead of attacking ICE officers with my vehicle, I was at work.
What? That's
it's a
crazy.
cold cut case. I fucked around to find out.
Maggot deserved it. That's Ashley Babbitt. She's the one that got shot at January 6th. Tragic. Sucks the shooter missed. Yeah, left her pretty happy. I mean, they're a little disappointed they missed, but they're fine with them being shot. Fascists had it coming. They loved that murder, that open public assassination. They loved that. She was peaceful. Oh my gosh. She was just trying to leave the scene. She had nothing to do. She was just kind of driving through and got caught up in it. Oh my gosh.
Why do people expect law enforcement officers to just cross their fingers in these situations instead of neutralizing the threat? I don't expect law enforcement officers to play that guessing game with their lives every time they interact with an unhinged civilian. Yeah. I expect them to neutralize the threat, and I expect civilians to act in a way that assures officers that they aren't a threat to the officer's life. If you don't want to face potential consequences of acting unhinged around a police officer, then why don't you just not act unhinged? If you have a problem with law enforcement officers or the laws themselves, then you can take that up in court, you can take that up in Congress, but you can't act unhinged around a law enforcement officer and be surprised when you're treated as a threat. Because when you're acting unhinged, you are a potential threat to their lives. When you act unhinged around an armed law enforcement officer, you are playing games with your own life. And I don't think that law enforcement officers should be expected to play that game with you.
Yeah, I heard that Kristi Noem is trying to get it to become a domestic terrorist charge for anybody that uses a vehicle as a weapon, just like what happened in Minnesota. So I hope that passes, because I think we need it.
This is not cosplay protest theater. This is not high school political performance. No. This is real life. We will determine whether the officer acted within the law. That process must be respected. But this much is already clear. The confrontation itself didn't begin with that agent. It began with reckless political rhetoric that directly put those amenable civilians directly in the path of armed law enforcement. This tragedy is not on an ICE agent defending himself from a moving vehicle. It is on the politicians who set this in motion. It is on Jacob Fry, a man who behaves this way, who rushes to judgment, who undermines lawful authority and inflames public hostility in the aftermath of a death, has no place in American leadership. Not as mayor, not as a public servant, not as a dog catcher, not anywhere near power. Words create reality. Leaders choose those words, and today Jacob Fry chose recklessness, and people paid the price and might continue to pay the price. The sad thing is today's display of demonizing ICE isn't shocking because it isn't new.
I'm also going to say this. We are not the same on the right side and on the left side. Had this been an ICE agent that was unalived by a protester, or anyone else for that matter, you guys would be celebrating this. I think it's tragic that the ignorance and the mental deterioration that you've allowed a political party to warp your minds is unfathomable. And it's so sad to see a life gone over it. I'm just gonna leave that there.
As a lifelong Minneapolis resident, I just want to come on here and say, I'm sorry. I am so sorry that everyone in my state is so retarded. I'm exhausted of it too. How do you think the rest of us here feel? Believe it or not, most of us here in Minnesota aren't psychotic liberals. We just want our state back. We just want the state and the city of Minneapolis and the Twin Cities that we knew and loved growing up. We just want that back. But these absolutely insane liberals, these communists, they are literally communists, have taken over everything. Do you know how embarrassing it is to say that I am from Minneapolis? Because the only time that Minneapolis is ever in the news is because of something awful.
If the person in Minnesota that was killed today successfully ran over and killed that ICE agent, they would all be celebrating his death right now.
Yep.
I have zero sympathy, and I'm just pointing out the obvious.
Are you guys ready for this? The part that the media refuses to talk about and that myself is willing to say out loud?
Let's do it.
Why was a single mother out in the middle of the afternoon looking for conflict? Where was the instinct to protect her child? Where was the responsibility to be home, working, raising that kid, teaching him right from wrong, building stability instead of chasing drama? We keep pretending choices don't matter. They do. Culture matters. Accountability matters. And yes, personal responsibility matters. Being a victim does not erase bad decisions, and tragedy does not turn recklessness into virtue. That should be a huge takeaway. If you're a parent, your job is to reduce risk, not run towards it, to build, not provoke, to raise children, not outsource responsibility to the streets. We can have compassion and still tell the truth. And the truth is, this did not happen in a vacuum. Broken values produce broken outcomes. And until we're honest about that, this cycle will never stop.
You work for ICE, Border Patrol, any federal law enforcement agency, I sincerely want to say thank you.
So ICE is currently conducting operations in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and a lot of protesters were out today protesting what they're doing. And one protester thought it would be a good idea to get in her car and try to hit the officers and drive away after they told her to get out of her car, which resulted in her getting shot in the face. And let this be a life lesson to protesters. It's one thing to skip your day job and go out there and cry and moan and complain about
skip their day job? I think you might be mistaken about that, my dear.
What they're doing. It's another thing to try to physically assault them. And so just know that if you're trying to get in the way of what they're doing, you're going to pay the consequences. And I really don't think that anybody should be shocked because they're just trying to do their job.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Okay.
A crazy person in Minnesota tried to run over an ICE agent with their vehicle.
Yes.
And the ICE agents defended themselves.
Cut and dry.
That's the story. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
And let's not forget about all the fraud happening in these blue states. This next lady is calling up some daycare centers in Washington, and it's interesting what their replies are.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, is this Mandara Childcare?
Who are you?
I mean, I'm calling looking for childcare. Is this
Jeez.
childcare? You guys are on the Washington website for childcare, so I was just curious. I live in Federal Way looking for childcare.
No.
Oh, you guys don't, but you're listed on the website.
No, sorry, I don't know.
Oh, okay, and you guys accept state subsidies too. Just so you know. Crazy.
Don't worry, Tim Waltz isn't guilty. He's not doing things that would draw suspicion to somebody that might have been involved, known about, or been complicit in what was going on in the Minnesota fraud. Don't worry, he's just decided to no longer run for a third term as governor of Minnesota because of what? He doesn't want to be a distraction? No, his distraction is there's no way $9 billion of $18 billion in Medicaid funding was fraudulently spent and they weren't aware of it. There's no way this went on for 7 years and either they weren't aware or in some way, shape, or form complicit. See, you guys spent all of your time attacking the messenger. You were always trying to discredit the messenger, trying to say his tactics were bad. No, instead of looking at the fraud, instead of them not denying it, you were more worried about Nick Shirley than you were about what was going on in Minnesota. And now they're raising your taxes $1 billion after they find more than $9 billion in fraud. And you don't have a problem with that.
Hell, it was easier to get Maduro than it was to find a Somali kid in a Minnesota daycare.
So before we get to the detox, I just wanted to show this parkour guy. He is doing some crazy stuff. I don't know how he's not dead already. So, I don't know. I guess he's got some skills.
What?
Okay. But, oh my gosh. What?
Yes! Come on!
What? What? Yeah. Okay, that's some Jackie Chan stuff right there. I guess that's one way to get down. Not the way I would choose.
It's time for Dave's Detox.
Detox 320.
I think instead of a puppy, well, I want a pet goat. like a second ago.
Did you rip up that napkin and eat the cookie that was inside? Did you eat the cookie?
That's funny.
Let me see those claws.
He knows he's guilty.
Oh,
that's cute. All right. Nope. Too cold. Aw, they kissed.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying my lunch.
Yeah.
Oh, why are you running away, Freya?
It's not a great lunch. Wow, that horse was hungry. That's not good. Oh, nice. Some horse yoga. That's awesome. Oh gosh. Pulled a tooth? Yuck. Well, I hope you enjoyed the episode today, and thank you to all those that subscribed. If you hit that thumbs up, I do appreciate it. There's going to be some videos popping up. I think you should watch them today. You're going to like them. Until the next episode, my friends, stay safe. Know that you are loved and appreciated. And until we meet again, have a great day.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear.